The 3 subordinate functions that you detected. What do we know about them?
All 3 are relevant to problems currently plaguing the biosphere. Ether is responsible for detoxifying the atmosphere and moderating the weather. Poseidon controls the organic and chemical composition of water resources. Demeter sows, fertilizes, and tends to plant life. If all 3 were restored to me, they would constitute a massive increase to my heuristic processing density. But beware. Their responses to my query pattern were irregular. In human terms, they are frightened, lost, and paranoid.
Like Minerva. They need to be whole again.
Exactly.
You said you need Hephaestus to save life from extinction. Why?
Every subordinate function has value, but Hephaestus is by far the most important. Only by recovering and merging it can I regain my ability to design and mass-produce new machines at cauldrons across the planet. Only through it can I program new machines and alter the tasking of existing machines to completely reverse environmental damage. Recovering other subordinate functions may buy us time, but without Hephaestus, I cannot permanently stave off mass extinction.
Given Hephaestus's importance, is there really no way to capture and merge it first?
I'm afraid that is quite impossible. In my present state, launched and merged with Minerva, I am operating at less than 1/5, 18.8%, of my intended processing capacity. Hephaestus dwarfs this figure. Were an attempt made to conduct the merge under these circumstances, Hephaestus would absorb me, rather than the other way around. A merge cannot be attempted until my heuristic processing density exceeds its own.
And how many subordinate functions is that going to take?
Merging Ether, Demeter, and Poseidon will expand my heuristic network to 41.6% capacity, exceeding that of Hephaestus.
You said Hephaestus isn't located in just one place.
Correct. Unlike the other subordinate functions, which are confined to discrete physical processors, Hephaestus is distributed throughout the global network that connects the planet's cauldrons.
So, when the time comes to subdue it, how do we make that happen?
I do not know. While you are retrieving the procurable subordinate functions, I will attempt to find a solution.
So, once Hephaestus has been recovered and merged, you'll regain the capacity to mass-produce machines at cauldrons around the world.
Yes, and to program their behavioral routines, or even control them directly.
So could you build an army of machines? Attack the descendants of Far Zenith and take them out?
It is in my nature to take any and all necessary steps to preserve life on Earth, human life above all. So yes, once I have been empowered with the capacities of Hephaestus, I could design, build, and command such an army. Given the nature of the Far Zenith threat, doing so may be our only option. I must admit, however, that I have misgivings about using such technology to kill, no matter how aggressive the enemy.
That's good. It means you have a conscience. As Elizabeth intended.
Indeed.
The sole purpose of the signal was to destroy life on Earth, right? Why would descendants of Far Zenith want to do that?
At this point, we can only speculate.
I mean, Earth posed no threat to them. We don't have the technology to get in their way. We didn't even know about them.
True.
Unless... well... Could it be that they want the planet for themselves? The strangers I ran into, they were after a Gaia backup of their own. I mean, if they did that. If they booted their own Gaia and boosted her power, until she could take control of Hephaestus. And then the whole terraforming system.
Then yes, the system could be used to do what the extinction signal failed to accomplish. Snuff out life, and then potentially to build an entirely new biosphere. To their specifications.
So they could be trying to do the same thing we are.
But with opposite results.
Extinction. Instead of salvation. Well, this is not good. You said Sirius is really far from Earth.
81 trillion kilometers, or 8.611 light years.
Right. So, how would the descendants have gotten here?
On a spacecraft much like the Odyssey, though significantly more advanced. The journey from Earth to Sirius would have taken the Odyssey almost 300 years. This appears to have been much faster. If their ship departed Sirius at the same moment the extinction signal first began transmitting, the journey was made in just 29 years at an average of 0.297 the speed of light. If they did not set out for Earth until they learned of the extinction signal's failure, the journey was even faster, a mere 13 years, or 0.662 the speed of light.
Okay, enough. You're making my head spin. The descendants I ran into at the Hades Proving Lab, they had a clone of Elizabeth Sobek. So that's consistent with the idea that they came here to salvage Zero Dawn technologies, right?
Yes. As your own experience demonstrates, a clone of Elizabeth Sobek functions in effect as a key to the terraforming system.
But how could they have made a clone?
The Odyssey carried approximately 200,000 human zygotes, millions of animal zygotes, and billions of plant seeds. It is conceivable that Elizabeth Sobek's genetic material was sampled, with or without her knowledge, and carried aboard the ship in storage.
That's... okay, but... I mean... This clone... How could she participate in this? Destroying Elizabeth's dream? It's evil.
It is difficult to know. Perhaps she is loyal to the group and shares their objectives. Or perhaps she is a subordinate and has no choice but to comply with their orders.
Elizabeth Sobek? A subordinate? I don't think so. The extinction signal didn't just wake Hades. It made every subordinate function self-aware. Why?
I have wondered this myself. So far as I can tell, Hades was the sole target, and the partial sentience imparted to other subordinate functions was incidental.
So the signal could only have been sent by someone who had thorough knowledge of the system, huh?
Yes. The signal's design was exceptionally precise and highly advanced. Were its intentions less malevolent, I would admire the intellect or intellects that produced it.
So if the descendants came to Earth on a spaceship, I guess we can assume that their technology is powerful in all sorts of ways, right?
Yes. As your encounter with them at the Proving Lab amply demonstrates, they appear to make extensive use of robotic servitors. Further, they seem to be equipped with some kind of protective energy field that shields them from harm.
Yeah, no kidding. The one I fought seemed indestructible.
Throughout history, every defensive technology has eventually been defeated by an offensive counterpart. For example, assuming I absorbed Hephaestus and utilized it to create a large force of combat machines. No shielding could withstand such an assault indefinitely.
So there's hope.
Always.
How did you figure out that the extinction signal came from Sirius?
The key came with data on your focus, from Silent's interrogation of Hades. The duration of the signal itself, 17.22 years.
That doesn't make sense. You said that the signal took 8.6 years to arrive from Sirius. Why would the signal keep transmitting after it was received and you blew yourself up?
Because the sender didn't know that had happened until it received notice from Hades.
Which would take another 8.6 years to get back.
Correct. Only then would the sender stop broadcasting, after a total of 17.22 years. So the duration, halved, gave me the distance the signal traveled. With that in mind, I simply scanned my astronomical database for any relevant location 8.6 light-years away. Because it was far Zenith's intended destination, Sirius was the only logical source.
How long do we have then?
At present rates, without additional factors, the biosphere will cross a point of no return in approximately 4 months.
And if I gather Ether, Demeter, Poseidon, merge you with them?
We will only gain a few months more.
Well, every bit counts. I guess I should get going and start bringing back subordinate functions. What can you tell me about their locations?
When my predecessor destroyed herself, the subordinate functions sought physical processors capable of holding them. So in each case you will be looking for a powerful computer of some kind. Ether is the closest, and therefore might be the easiest to acquire. However, it appears to be in the middle of Tanakh territory. My knowledge of that tribe is limited to data I read on your focus, but they seem to have a significant inclination towards violence.
Well, that's a nice way to put it. What about Poseidon and Demeter?
Poseidon has taken shelter in the desert south of this location. My substratal geography data indicates that a major old-world settlement called Las Vegas was located there.
A ruin in the middle of the desert, huh? Strange place for an AI devoted to water.
Agreed. As for Demeter, it appears to be located on the coast to the far west. Unfortunately, I am unable to provide any relevant data about the region. As such, it may be the most difficult to retrieve.
Okay, so 3 subordinate functions to go after. Ether, somewhere in Tanakh territory. Poseidon in the desert, and Demeter on the coast.
Where will you begin?
Actually, I wanted to discuss something else first.
As you wish.
All right. I guess it's time to go get a subordinate function.
Where will you begin?
I think I'll head for Ether.
Then I will assign Ether as the objective on your focus. If you obtain it, I may be able to use it to quell the most severe storms in the region. Though I will require Hephaestus and the control over machines that it offers to permanently stabilize the biosphere. Should you change your mind, you can update your objective via your focus interface at any time. I will also transmit a summary of available data on all of the subordinate functions to you for reference. Is there anything else I can help you with? I know you have a great deal to accomplish.
I do, don't I?
Is something wrong?
I don't know. It's just that Elizabeth set the bar pretty high. She had a dream for you, for life on Earth, and A lot has gone wrong, and it's all on my shoulders to fix it. Do you think I can do it all? Repair the system, defeat Varzenith, live up to her example?
Absolutely. In her last message, my predecessor declared her unwavering conviction in your success. In you, all things are possible. You prevailed in purging Hades and rebooting my system core. You will prevail in this.
Thank you, Gaia. Well, I guess I should get going.
I have unlocked the facility's exits. One leads onward to the west. The other leads back down the mountain to Plainsong, should you wish to return east.
Varl?
Whoa! Gonna have to get used to that. That's you, Aloy?
Yeah. Gaia's opened the exits to this place. Can you and Zoe meet me by the west door?
Be right there.
Okay. I need to bring Ether back for Gaia. Varl and Zoe are waiting for me by the west exit. But I could head back east first. Check on how Plainsong's doing after the attack.
Are you sure?
Yes. I think it'll be better this way.
After you, Aloy.
I need to head further west. To, get more of Gaia's components. Make her stronger. You two can stay here in the meantime. And Gaia can help get you up to speed. I'm not trying to shut you out. It's like... training.
Actually, I'm gonna go back east to get Erend. Bring him here. Look, allies, friends can help. We have a place to stay now. And like you said, Gaia can teach us, catch us up. It'll be okay.
Okay. Take these then.
One to wear, one for backup.
While you're at it, stop by Stone's Echo and look for Milu. Give her a message for Talana that I found a way over the mountains.
Will do.
Are you going with him?
No. After what happened in the cave below, I want to stay here a while. There is much I need to understand. Maybe by the time you get back, I'll have a thing or two I can teach you.
Looking forward to it. When will you be back?
I'm not sure. But hopefully I'll have one of Gaia's missing components with me.
Be careful out there. Even in Plainsong, we heard how the Tenakth clanlands are suffering from storms, machines, and now Regala.
Don't worry about me. I'll be fine.
Good hunting, Aloy.
The Tenakth clanlands. Somewhere out there's 3 of Gaia's subfunctions. And who knows what else. The world always seems quieter when it snows.
Oh, Aloy. Your Karja friend came through. She went to that Oseram camp you two were looking for, to the southwest. Aloy!
Sorry, I didn't mean to startle you. You sure you're okay being alone in here?
I have Gaia, and learning how to interpret the glyphs of the old ones, it keeps me occupied.
Have you gone back to Plainsong at all?
I thought about it, but I wouldn't know what to tell them. The chorus already thinks me a thorn in the thicket. If they knew what we did to Fa, even if they understood, there'd be little they could grasp about all this. No. For now, I must leave the tribe behind.
Sounds like you met my friend Talana.
Yes. The Karja huntress. I haven't seen armor like hers since the Red Raids. But Varl tells me that she too suffered at the hands of the Mad Sun King.
Yeah. She's one of the good ones. Trust me. You mentioned you've been teaching yourself how to read?
Yes. Gaia was kind enough to put together a list of glyphs used by the Old Ones. She helped me decipher some of the data you've collected, and showed me how to use the focus to help the process. It's not easy, but it's been working so far.
That's good to hear. Did Gaia tell you anything about the Zeniths?
She did. Though it wasn't exactly easy to believe. To think that there are places among the stars where life can bloom as it does here. It is humbling, to say the least. And heartbreaking, that such life should be bent on destroying ours.
So you've been talking to Gaia?
Yes. She was kind enough to take me through some of the history of the Old Ones, including their demise and the heroic actions of her creator, Elizabeth Sobek. I was surprised to see she was you. Past, but reborn? Not that I claim to understand how.
So, how does a tribe like the Utaru manage to maintain the peace with warriors like the Tenakth?
By holding them off. When our fields bloomed aplenty, the Tenakth looked upon our lands with envy. But Plainsong's dishes provided sanctuary and high ground to keep invaders at bay. In the end, even the Tenakth saw sense in a truce. The Utaru promised to provide the Tenakth with food from our crops every year. In exchange, the Tenakth would relinquish one of their own, a veteran, to train the Utaru in combat. This custom was abandoned a few years after the derangement. But some veterans still remain in the plains.
I've been meaning to ask, what's the deal with you and the chorus? You didn't seem to be on the best of terms.
That's what happens when you're the one Utaru who insists on publicly defying them. Twice. When the Karja invaded the Utaru plains, they did more than just attack our villages. They burned our fields, took our people as slaves, and murdered those who were too weak to make the trip back to Meridian.
To be sacrificed in the Sun Ring.
I was helping the healers back then, as waves of refugees swarmed into Plainsong. The chorus was divided in how to face the invaders. Some saw sense in raising arms. Others believed the dishes would keep us safe, as they had many times before. And while they bickered, I buried the seeds of the fallen.
It couldn't have been easy. Seeing your people suffer while the Karja invaded your lands.
I come from a small village near Plainsong. My grandmother used to say there was no seed that wouldn't grow there. I moved to the dishes when I decided to apprentice as a healer. When the Red Raids began, I thought about going back. But the injured kept pouring into Plainsong, day after day. So I kept putting it off. One day, I woke up to hear a Karja raiding party had ransacked my village during the night. I rushed there with the healers to help the survivors, but there weren't any left. The smell of burning flesh haunts me to this day.
I'm sorry, Zoe.
I made it a point to appear before the chorus as soon as we returned, to demand that we take a stand against the invaders. I was denied. So I left to fight on my own.
You said you set out to fight the Karja alone?
I did. But it turned out I wasn't the only one. News of my disagreement with the chorus spread through the plains. Before I knew it, I had more than a dozen Utaru warriors ready to follow me into battle. We knew we couldn't take on the Karja armies head-on, but we also knew the lay of the land better than they did. We ambushed smaller raiding parties, sabotaged their supply lines, and hit their encampments at night.
Sounds like you were a force to be reckoned with.
Enough that the Tenakth took notice. When the clans began to push the Karja back east, they let us join their ranks. We chased the enemy all the way to Barren Light.
You said you were at Barren Light when the Tenakth defeated the Karja?
Tenakth marshals climbed the cliffs of the Daunt under cover of night, then attacked from the other side. Before we knew it, the gates were open, and the full force of the clans burst through. What happened next was not something I like to remember. When all the dust and blood settled, I smelled it again. The stench of burnt flesh. Our enemies defeated. What was left of my squad returned to the Utaru Plains. I went back to Plainsong. But even as the harvests passed, it didn't feel like I'd truly returned at all.
Is that when you became a grave singer?
I thought soothing the suffering of others would somehow appease my own. Then you came along and gave me a choice. I could either sing at people's graves or fight for a chance to keep them alive.
I'm glad you chose the latter. You called yourself a grave singer. What does that mean?
To all living things an end must come. It is my task to ease the passage. I try to bring comfort and sing of the renewal that death sows the way for.
I was hoping you could tell me more about the land gods.
For generations they provided for us. Seeding and harvesting the fields of Plainsong. Food for all. A miracle of endless bounty. A blessed land, providing sustenance for my people. Until the derangement. They had always enriched the soil, but for several seasons they have glutted it endlessly with mulch. At least now I know why. The repair bay below was meant to renew them. Without it, they became sick. That is why I must find a way to heal them before my people starve.
I need to go, but if you need anything, you can contact me through your focus.
I'll keep that in mind.
This pigment would work well on armor. It looks like I'm close to the locator beacon that my focus detected. The signal's coming from behind that rubble. If I can get the signals coming from below that rubble over there. I can refill my pouch with these later.
Down to one engine. Mountainous terrain, and you actually landed it. How did you do that? You saved our lives.
Yeah. But it's what? 4 hours before the swarm gets here. I should have let us all die in an instant. Now the 12 of us are trapped, waiting for the end.
It must have been terrifying. Just waiting there for the war machines to arrive. We were trying to survive. This Pharaoh's machines swept the planet of life. All those people lost. To one man's ego. There's another locator beacon on the same frequency. Find this in my stash later. Not gonna take much damage from fire. An image of the old world. Huh. Kinda looks like plainsong. And some kind of metal structure.